for the Dow Show. We are streaming. We got an excellent connection. Today. Hey, welcome to the closing beat. Happy Thursday to you. Hope you all are doing well. I think we're good to go. Everything is set up here. We are financial advisors here at Jazz Wealth. Hope you'll check us out. We would like to help you keep your dough straight, as the saying goes. Also, tonight, Wine and Wealth. Old Eric's kicking off the retirement month. We're talking about only those of you that are in retirement or near retirement. We're going to start with the, get you up and running, and then we're going to get into all the geeky stuff along the way. We got a whole month planned out for you. So hope y'all are doing well. Welcome comments. John, Craig, financially free, finally. Doc, Marcus, and Mark, how we doing? The S&P. Yeah, there you go. Right-hand side of your screen. You could see it. Hey, we got a green day, right? Little excitement there. I love it. So historically, fun fact for you, September, the very first day of September, whatever the trading day is, it happened to be September 1st this go around. But historically, that's averages the worst day of the month. The average loss is like 0.31% to the downside. And so that's over the last 50 years. We shook it off, man. Maybe this is the September to remember where we don't end up trading lower. That'd be cool. Let's take a look. So here's the charts over here. The S&P, we've pulled back nicely right about halfway. This breakdown this morning actually pulled just below the halfway mark, and we saw a nice little recovery going into the end of the day. If I go to a 5-minute chart, let's take a look at what we have. Here's today. This is the start of the market open right in here. A lot of chop, a lot of sell-off, and then in the afternoon, the bulls showed up and said, that's enough. That's a good enough discount. Every bar here is 5 minutes. We made our way all the way back up to the highs, and even after hours, we have yet to give up much of that. It basically closed right at its highs there. For the month of August, we lost 4.2% there, right? But we fought back today. I'm gonna be positive here. We fought back today, although August lost 4%. Not the best there, but we're coming off of a very, very nice rally. ADP jobs numbers showed that the jobs are drying up, actually. They changed the formula, too. I don't know if you saw that, but ADP changed the formula for how they calculate their job openings, and still they showed that the jobs are drying up, man. People are just not hiring as much. We're not into that firing phase yet. People are not hiring as much. The White House still says tomorrow's jobs number is going to show steady unemployment. They say it's going to stay at 3.5. I actually think it's going to tick lower, 3.4%, but we'll see what happens there. They say the jobs are good. That means no recession. So let's get you started on the politics talk today. What do you think about that? That's a little bit weird, but that's what they're going with. Anyways, here we go. Let's take a look at the S&P today. We know the pullback is there, no problem. Healthcare is the big exciting area for the day. We talked about that being oversold yesterday, and I will highlight this here in just a little bit more specific, but healthcare got a nice bounce today. It had to be the small cap health stocks that didn't participate. Everything else had really, really nice rallies today. Looking at the big names that move the sector, Johnson & Johnson, big rally there. Eli Lilly, names that you likely know about and have heard. Also strong. Pfizer coming off of lows there. And then as you start working your way into the smaller weighted stocks in the sector, even AbbVie moving higher. Amgen, 2%. You basically got 1.8 to 3.1% gains across the board on all of those. Merck was another one there. So without getting into biotech too much, healthcare was able to do the trick. Even the insurers, United Healthcare, which has been stronger, and I do want to point out Cardinal Healthcare hit new highs. What did we talk about yesterday, right? Healthcare is weak, but Cardinal Health is strong. What happens when healthcare gets strong? You got new highs there on Cardinal Health. So maybe learned a thing or two on that one. That is always cool to show. Utilities. There you go. Second strongest sector in the market this year anyways. We talked about this yesterday. This pullback proves to be viable in some way. You don't expect it all to go that fast in one day, but nonetheless it did. So that was the second best performing sector here today. And then you had some of the ones that make a difference in the market. So you had communication services helping today. That's a bigger weighted sector in the market. Maybe I can cover that here in a second for you. And consumer discretionary finally said, that's enough, man. Come on. We had a nice little pullback there. Let's get a little bit of a bounce, and all of that was good. The weak link today, which doesn't matter because it's less than 4% weighting in the S&P, that would be energy, down 2.4% on the day. I'm going to cover that here in just a second. Let's move on to the NASDAQ. Let's go on to the NASDAQ. Same thing. Didn't quite get back to positive, but that's okay. You got a nice little rally and a bottoming tail here. If you're not familiar with how all these little candles work, go on over to your portal. If you're one of our clients or research members, you just hop right on in here. These are all our classes. You hit this search button right over here and do me a favor and hit candlesticks. You don't even have to type the whole thing out. You got a 3-part series there where I'm explaining how that works. Not a opinion-driven class. This is a information-driven. What do they mean? What is the language of each one of those? If you didn't know, there's actually only 13 variations of what you see right here. It looks like there's all kinds of different candlesticks, but there's only 13 of them to learn. And in reality, there are 5 red ones, 5 green ones to learn, and the other 3 are insignificant. So if you're interested in learning about that, of course, you know that's available to you. I just like to point that out because it's been a while since I have recorded that. It's been a while since I pointed that out. Anyways, that's the NASDAQ. We'll go on over here to the Dow, also giving you a little bit of a rally as well, able to finish the day strong. I did want to go right in here real quick. I did not set this up beforehand. I'm sorry. Your biggest stocks participating in the Dow's gains today are going to be healthcare related. If it weren't for healthcare today, the Dow would not have been positive. Amgen and there it is, Johnson & Johnson. These two provided more weight to the gain today than Home Depot did, which Home Depot, other than that, would have been the biggest gainer. But then you have, of course, Home Depot, McDonald's, and Walmart providing the backup to the gains today. Remember, the Dow is price weighted. So the highest price stock moves the market the most. What is the highest price stock in the Dow? It is UNH, is it not? The highest price stock is, in fact, UNH. So UNH up about 1% today. That is the biggest contributor. And then it always helps, of course, when you have Amgen, $250 stock there, and Johnson & Johnson, $165. So it was all healthcare driven there. That's all I wanted to point out. Moving on, you got gold. We keep talking about gold being probably not something you want to participate in until maybe now, right? Now gold finds itself oversold. So if you have been watching and saying, I'm with you, Dustin. I don't know, man. This isn't going to work for me. Now maybe you look at some gold as it gets extended here. All right, do want to talk about crude oil real quick. You got another reversal or another down day, reversing back to these prior lows here. The recent culprit for weaker oil is the fact that we continue to have this approach of releasing from our strategic oil reserves and sending about 70% of that overseas. Here is where we stand on that if you want to join with me. This is the crude oil strategic petroleum oil reserve stockpile. This is not the change in that. It is just the current stockpile. I've just got it set out here to 10 years so you can see how rapidly our stockpile is decreasing. That oil is going out into the market and is being bought, of course. And so that is basically flooding the market to the tune of a million barrels per day. That is not sustainable. We will not continue to do that. So if you're one of those that says, darn it, White House, stop doing that stuff, this will not continue. This is just a temporary thing there. Nonetheless, it's kind of like, don't fight the Fed, right? If the White House or the government has decided to put out that many barrels a day, that's like the Fed printing a whole bunch of money. You can't get in the way of that. It's not a battle you're going to win. So that's where we stand here with oil at the moment. I do want to point this out real quick. You say, well, is it that we're producing a lot of oil? Here's crude oil production. I'll put that here on the bottom. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Crude oil production is still below average. Below its prior highs here, but trending about average. There's no strong increase for this entire year and a half stretch where oil refiners and oil explorers have said, yeah, that makes sense. Let's go spend money getting more oil. Remember that they everybody in the energy sector that does this has said, we would rather give money back to shareholders. We would rather buy our shares back because the government has said, well, we don't like you guys anymore. And that's their stance, unfortunately. So crude oil production remains below highs, yet basically average. So add into that, you've got the Saudis pumping more oil. They talked about cuts, but they're not doing it. And then you have the strategic petroleum reserves getting flooded out there in the world. So that's what you got going on with oil. I forgot to mention that yesterday, so I wanted some visual aids for you. Bonds. I'm looking at the 30-year bond here. We can go over to the 10-year because that continued to fall, which means rates continue to move higher there. Bond prices are getting beaten to death. Rate yields are almost at new highs there. We closed yesterday out at 3.13% on the 10-year there, and that means that the 10-year, which is where we derive a lot of our consumer rates from, the 10-year is now higher 10 of the last 13 months. So if you've been living under a rock or something, you go, well, why are rates higher? Now you know why. And what else do we have? That's really all I've got for that one there. I do want to move on to some interesting sector news. Put together a little something here for you today. The current timing as it pertains to how extended a sector is relative to its 50-day moving average. So you'll hear us say 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviations. That's a geeky way of basically saying, I'll go over here and look at something like healthcare. Healthcare was extended far away from this blue line. It's just a mathematical way to decipher, well, what does far away mean, right? That's how we do it. So anyways, here's the current sector list of all the sectors and the S&P. We then said if they are trending around within or less than 1 standard deviation from the 50-day moving average, let's call it neutral. If it is trading 1 standard deviation above, let's call it overbought. If it's trading 2, let's call it extremely overbought. If it's trading 1 standard deviation below, let's call it oversold, and 2, let's call it extremely oversold. Well, as of yesterday, healthcare extremely oversold. This is part of the reason why you had healthcare rally today. If you were looking at this and you had this on your screen and you're like, all right, I need a place to go buy discounted stocks, you don't have many choices. The most oversold stocks are in the healthcare sector, or you could just buy the whole sector. The oversold stocks that are not extremely oversold, but somewhat oversold, in communication services. What happened today? Communication services up. It was the 3rd best performing sector. Energy. If you needed to sell positions to then go buy these discounted stocks, you would sell likely from something that is considered overbought. What was the worst performing sector today? Energy, right? So that's all that happened. That's a visual way to show you money moving out of something that's overbought. It's got to go somewhere, going into oversold areas of the market. That is as clean and cut and dry as I can share it. Really, really cool. Now, what I wanted to do is take it a step further for you. Let's start with healthcare. The most oversold stocks in the healthcare space right now would have been Pfizer and Bristol Myers, right? So I'm not telling you what to do here. I'm just pointing out stocks that fall into that category. The most oversold stocks in communication services would be Charter Communications. I don't know that that's an exciting one to look at, but just, it's on there. And Paramount Global. And then the most overbought stocks in the energy space at the moment are going to be Pioneer Natural Resources, which is already working on a pullback a little bit, so that's not too bad. You've got ConocoPhillips. There you go. Same thing, right there, working on it. They're just still the most overbought relative to the others. And Devon. And so there you go. So there's not really anything else to say about that. I was trying to make that cooler than it really is, but it's super clean. Money went from overbought, that's clear as day today, worst performing sector, all into oversold or extremely oversold and oversold sectors. It's a very simple way to look at the markets, and I hope that helps you in some way. All right. The only new high today was actually Cardinal Healthcare in the S&P. There were no other new highs, and probably won't be for a while because there are not a lot of stocks that are close to hitting new highs. All right, let's move on here. Stocks in the news. What do we got? AMD in the new, well, actually AMD and NVIDIA. So they're both on our charts there. They were informed by they told us that they were informed by the U.S. that sales of AI chips, 2 in particular, will not be allowed to be done or sold to China. So NVIDIA has 2 in particular. Remember, this doesn't This doesn't increase competition between the two of them. That's the key takeaway. It doesn't make one better than the other, right? They both have to follow the same rules. Anyways, NVIDIA down 7.5% on the day. They said the exact same thing there. And then looking deeper into this, I thought, I have the most data on NVIDIA. So I went deeper on this and said, what type of impact will this have? It's about $400 million, or about 7% of their next quarter's revenue. So you look at what they guided for. They guided to make about $5.9 billion in the next quarter. Take about $400 million off of that, or 7%, and that's the hit that you have. So the stock price is reacting to price itself now for that new expected revenue, should that number come in line. Maybe analysts have other numbers. I just did sort of quick math there to try to help with something. But that's what you got going on there. Costco, man, Costco, same store sales up 8%. This doesn't count gas, by the way. When Costco reports their sales numbers, it never includes the gas stations, you know, where you go out there and do that thing. So 8.7%. These guys, man, just the sales are incredible. It's just been like that for decades. Disney's in the news because supposedly they're looking at offering something very similar to like an Amazon Prime membership to kind of be separate from their Disney Plus. I didn't look too deep into that, and the reason why is because today it's a Grumman Gulfstream. Walt Disney's airplane left Florida. It was parked behind Magic Kingdom in an empty lot. There was actually an airport there, if you didn't know that. He had his own private airport that was going to be bigger. It didn't turn out to be. They moved it to Anaheim. They had been painting it. I've seen like satellite pictures and stuff. They picked it up and they moved it to Anaheim to put on display there. So if you're over in California and you want to see a really cool like vintage airplane, it is now on display there. There's an expo of some kind going on there. And because of that, I was distracted from the news of their Amazon Prime kind of a product there. And, well, I do apologize. I get distracted by Disney stuff sometimes. Campbell Soup down 2% on the day. Campbell Soup reported earnings that were basically in line. They tried to raise guidance to make things look good, but costs are rising for them. Their gross margins were hit by about 0.5%. And that's a lot for Campbell Soup. They also said that the consumer is steadily shifting towards sales offerings or discounted products, not their mainline products. I would point out that if you break their business down into categories, there's some interesting things there. I'm trying to make Campbell Soup interesting. And so I was like, all right, let's figure out their earnings. Snacks killed it, right? So snacks in general saw growth, or they were the weak spot. Snacks were the weak spot. We're expecting growth of 9%. They only got 5%. We stopped snacking to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars, because Campbell Soup is no joke, right? Their meals division was what helped them basically keep in line with their revenue expectations, as I mentioned, because of some weird increase in sales of pasta sauces, right? I didn't get to the bottom of it, but that's where, if you look at pasta sauces, it was up like 11%. Well, that was enough money to offset the weakness in snacks, almost offset weakness in snacks. It's kind of your fun fact of the day. So, yeah, that's it. Anyways, tomorrow there are no earnings to speak of. Earnings season is basically over. You have the August sales numbers of Ford. Yeah, that's it. I was trying to think if there was something else. A lot of stuff going on in this brain of mine. And, of course, the morning's news will be the unemployment rate, the unemployment numbers. We'll get the non-farm payroll numbers there. I expect that there'll be a focus on the average hourly earnings as well, because the total number of the average weekly hours worked is 34.6. So that number probably won't change. And if it doesn't change, then the average hourly earnings we want to see go up, even just a little bit. So I suspect there'll be a little focus on that, which could cause some early morning volatility. But other than that, hey, we're just happy to have the markets a little higher here today, right? A little breath. Quit sucking the life out of all of us. If you have any questions, I'll take a chance and try to answer your questions and not get in trouble. If you don't have any questions, then I will get Eric ready for tonight's class, the Wine and Wealth. Grab a glass of wine. Come hang out with us tonight. Eric will be all ready to go. If you're one of our clients, if you're not, what are you doing? You go to the website, you know what I mean? Get all set up and everything. We won't treat you like those other companies. Yeah. Little late, but you're still looking at SQM. Yeah, recent pullback, it just hasn't given you enough. So I look for things like this. SQM is not a blipping kind of a pullback stock. I'd be nervous buying this, right? If you bought the blip, you got a little bit out of it, but there's nothing significant there. You want this guy, more of a pullback. And that just comes from looking at stocks over and over again. There's some stocks that are trending stocks. There are some like Yamana Gold was a trending stock, Applied Materials trending stock, oil is a trending commodity. But this one, you don't want to buy those blips just yet. I personally wouldn't. Yep. Yep. You're 3 paychecks poorer than I was a week ago. Yeah, but inflation's going to go down, right? It's transitory. So you're going to be fine, right? Old transitory inflation. Today you got low enough to hit your stop loss. Oh, it hit you and then turned around? That was your game? So, yeah. Looks like one of those types of days. Usually you see that on individual stocks here. It's a little tougher to do it on the S&P. Buy more oil on the dips. Buy more oil. I see what you're saying. So you got 1, 2, 3 days of rather sharp declines. You have one line here to hold it up. If it does not hold there, everybody goes, I don't know where it's going to stop. We hope it goes lower, right? Just as a consumer, but there's nowhere for it to stop. Therefore, if you buy it here, you're either A, willing to sell it if it goes under 85 or somewhere, 84.50, something like that. Or you could potentially be holding on in this vacuum of guessing where it's going to drop. I'm not that kind of investor, so that wouldn't be for me. Yeah. You want to jump in on AT&T for a long-term investment. The only worst one is Verizon, right? So if you're looking at AT&T and saying, okay, I like a discount. Obviously, it's super weak relative to the market. If that's your game that you play, well, then why not Verizon? That one's even worse. MW. Oh, you're a youngin', huh? You're a youngin'. You got plenty of time. You're learning to ride the roller coaster. I like banks. Yep. I like banks, in particular regional banks, if you had to, split them apart or whatever. Yeah. Dustin, what do you think of Dow? Trades flat for the most part. What's the question there? Just what do you think? Careful on any stock that you see is not participating in the market. Now, you can have these little bounces here and there because they get oversold, like this is starting to. But where's the momentum, or where's the belief that there's momentum to give you any kind of significant rally? I think if this were someone that was on TV, they'd say it's a trade if it gets oversold as it's working on, but there is no good reason, fundamentally or technically, there's no good reason to say, oh, this guy's going to turn around. It's going to trend higher month after month. I'm going to make some money. It's going to be great. So not excited about that one. Yep. All right, we got to get out of the way for Eric. He is up next tonight, Mr. Wine and Wealth. We will get this computer all set up for him. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Hope you learned something today. That's the goal, right? If I can teach you, then it doesn't seem like marketing that I'm here every day with the same shirt, subliminally trying to get you to check the website. If I can teach you something, you're like, damn, that Dustin taught me. That's pretty cool. And one day, maybe you need us. I don't know. You tell a friend. You know what I mean? Something happens. In the meantime, I'll keep doing this. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll look forward to seeing clients later for Wine and Wealth. Be in the portal. If you're brand new joining us here, just go right into your portal. It'll actually show you when we're live, and come and join us. Hang out for a little bit. Adios.